keeping it in your budget. And they've been around for 40 years, and they do great things in the community. So it's a no-brainer. Don't fight the mall traffic, all that stuff. Easy in, easy out, 20 minutes from downtown Tampa. It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road, just over the bridge. Back in 3 with John Smoltz. Stay with us. Old Hurricane Helene put a hurting on Tampa Bay, and for many of you, the rebuild will be a long process. You must beware of unscrupulous contractors offering up quick fixes for incredible prices. It's a scam. So go with long-standing, reputable companies like Third Generation Plumbing and AC. My friend John Rodriguez has been serving Tampa Bay since 1995 with hundreds of 5-star reviews. If you need a new AC system or any home repairs from Helene, they will work with insurance companies to get you taken care of quickly, expertly installed, of course, and a 1-year maintenance plan and 10-year warranty included on all AC units. 0% financing for 60 months. Contact them at thirdgenerationplumbing.com or 813-961-8024. That's 813-961-8024, thirdgenerationplumbing.com. So many of our Tampa Bay neighbors are finding out the hard way from Hurricane Helene that homeowners insurance does not cover flood damage. You must have flood insurance. It's a separate policy. Immediately call Italiano Insurance at 813-877-7799, and they will shop around to find the best policy before rates go up. Lock it in. Over 60% are underinsured in Florida, or you're not getting your discounts that you're entitled to. So do an insurance checkup at Italiano, and they could save you thousands of dollars. Italiano will make sure you're with a highly rated insurer, so there are no surprises in your time of need. Our hearts go out to all our neighbors devastated by Helene. These are the times we're proud to protect all the pieces of your life. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. Hey, it's football season, and we welcome back the Gator Report every Monday and Friday, sponsored by the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Just go to the website. You can contact them through there. Scott Jeeves is a tremendous, aggressive attorney and a big Gator fan, so we appreciate him supporting this show and, of course, your Florida Gators. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. Whether it's personal injury or anything else, any law matter at all, it's the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Give them a call. Tell them JP sent you.
Ciao, Paolo Tini here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, one of South Tampa premier traditional Italian restaurant. We were recently voted number 3 on Open Table list of Tampa Bay's top 10 restaurants. We're very proud of that because we take great care of preparing each dish by hand with homemade sauces, pastas, only the freshest local ingredients. You won't see the big institutional vendor trucks pulling up to our back door. We get our seafood from local vendors. Sometimes I even drive out to Topper Springs and pick out our daily catch right off those boats. So stop by and say hello. Try our traditional lasagna, the fresh veal, some of our signature dishes like capelli al granchio, that is angel hair with lump crab meat, our branzino, that is a sea bass. We're located at 4205 South McDill, and you can make a reservation on Open Table and read all the great reviews. See you soon. Ciao. Grazie.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at the Jeeves Law Group. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. It's the Jeeves Law Group. This is the Jeeves Law Group studio here in beautiful South Tampa. And right now, we'd like to welcome in a man who is known for being a Hall of Famer in baseball, is also a tremendous golfer, will be captaining his team in the Pro Cup at Innisbrook this week here in town, and is also the reigning champion of the MFFL Fantasy Football, where he has whooped my ass 5 consecutive times and is on his way to his 6th win. John Smoltz joining us here. What's up, Smoltzy? How are you?
You know, I'm listening to that intro, and I guess I'm doing really good. I'm living a life as a pretend GM. You know, I'm making moves, trying to defend, the fantasy football. Of course, you mentioned the golf coming up, but I'm really locked in on tonight's game. Tonight's going to be, it's going to be epic, and I know that you don't want to be talking about what happened. I still think you're going to win, but this would be probably the greatest comeback in the history of fantasy football.
I'm not going to win because I never beat you. And it doesn't matter that I have Jamar Chase going tonight and he's averaging 21 points. He's the number one receiver in the league. And you're up by 12 and a half points. You were up 14. I found 2 points overnight. Whoever did that, thank you very much. So, I mean, yes, I'm a 66-point favorite according to the website, but they have no idea of our history, John. And whether it's your kicker scoring 50 points or Zach Charbonnet scoring 40 points yesterday, it just doesn't matter. I'm going to lose. That's just the way it is. I'm trying to put this out into the ether, so maybe my luck will change.
I think it's going to change. I really do. I think this phone call is going to free you up. I think we deserve to be in the playoffs together.
We do.
You have the best roster in fantasy football. You've lost some really heartbreaking losses, which that's why tonight's going to go your way. My team, they don't have a hangover, but they know they've locked up a position, a playoff position, and that's really all we care about.
Well, listen, you've done some pretty notable things in your career. You've won a World Series. You've won a Cy Young, if not 3 or 4. You face some of the most incredibly intimidating hitters, most of the pressure-packed situations. So how does that rank as opposed to how nervous you will be watching tonight's game in fantasy football with all this on the line?
Yeah, with all of it on the line, this is obviously the utmost bragging rights. This is a fun league with a bunch of good people trying to do the same thing. And look, you got to have a little bit of luck. I thought you were, I think at one point you were a 99% favorite. I had too many buys this week and too many injuries. But somehow, some way, I'm a little disappointed. I lost 2 points. I thought I had a 14 and a half. I'm going to have to check with the commissioners, see what happened there. But again, trending in the right direction for you.
So I'm sitting there watching. I'm covering the Bucks game yesterday, and I'm watching, and like after you had a bunch of guys going at 4 o'clock, I get that. But after the 1 o'clock games, I have a 99% chance of winning, according to CBS Sports, 99% chance. So everybody would be, I had a 70-point lead. I'm like, I got this, right? And as soon as I get back and I'm done talking in the locker room to all the guys, an hour and a half later, you got a lead. You got a 10-point lead. I'm like, what the F just happened? How did this happen?
Well, what I love about it is I normally would not be locked in on the Seattle-Arizona game.
Right.
I'm a diehard Lions fan, but every offensive play had one of my guys, on each side. So it actually was a fun game to watch,
right,
especially when my running back broke a 51-yard touchdown run. So I have 3 TVs downstairs. I had the San Francisco-Chicago game on, which had interest. And then I knew I wasn't going to get I actually got 1 catch out of Knox, tight end but I knew I wasn't going to get anything there. So virtually I had 3 positions of no points.
Yes.
But the other 3 made up for it.
All right. Well, I'd like to say good luck tonight but that's ridiculous because you don't need it. You clearly have a horseshoe up your ass or something when it comes to playing me, so I'm not going to say good luck, but whatever. We'll see. We'll be texting tonight, if not FaceTiming while we're watching the game, and we'll watch Jamar Chase get a hamstring injury in the first quarter. All right.
No. Here's what's going to happen. I already know what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. All right. You're going to win it in the fourth quarter, but I want it to go to the fourth quarter. I don't want you to be smoking a cigar at halftime. I want a little stress going into the fourth quarter.
All right. Well, I'll have that cigar ready to light up. All right. The folks here would like you to talk about something else. And we got to hit you with this. When you saw the Juan Soto contract, what is the first thing that came to your mind?
I couldn't stop shaking my head. I guess I just don't understand, but I know what a great player he is. 15 years, my goodness. Baseball is a copycat league, a lot like other sports. When they start doling out, it's a 1%er, right? This 1% of the league has these 13, 10, 12, 15-year contracts. And Now we have a 15-year contract. It is definitely a front-loaded, better be that player for the Mets for the next 10 years. But, good for him. I'm still shaking my head. I never thought I would see a contract quite like this. You kind of understand the Ohtani contract because of the multiple ways that he can impact the club.
Right.
You really kind of, if there's ever a way to justify, and listen, baseball, you're playing 162 games. I know other sports have less games and guys have closer to those kind of contracts, but this player is a offensive game changer. Just no doubt about it. He's going to make any club he goes on better. I just wonder about the defensive, the running, the other attributes that might maybe not quantify that kind of money. But I think the Mets and that owner, I felt like that was the only guy, even though the reported contracts, the bidding was close by other teams. I just didn't think there would be 4 teams involved. And we never know how legitimate those reports are, but this 15-year deal is certainly an epic one.
Well, when they say that the Rays are in it, that's not credible. But
no,
which they do after sometimes. But what does this do to the game, to the game of baseball in terms of, like you said, it's not a player that is a 5-tool player. He's not. He's got some really, really good tools. Does baseball need a salary cap? Does it need a salary? I think definitely needs a salary floor for fans here in Tampa Bay. But does it need a salary cap? And would the Players Union ever go for that?
I don't think the Players Union will ever go for that, and I'm not so sure that a salary cap is the answer. I do believe you're right. A lot of people talking about the floor. The floor would be something that would serve the game well for a lot of bottom clubs that just don't spend money. Here's the difference on the rub that is going to cause this discussion to be ongoing. The Mets may win a World Series championship. This doesn't guarantee them anything.
Yep.
The Dodgers are loading up to try to win multiple. Until baseball gets dominated like some of these other salary cap sports, which I don't understand why there's not more of an outcry. I guess certain people like to see the same teams over and over again. But I think one thing baseball has proven is it's never in the last 35 to 40 years been dominated by one team.
That's true. Yeah.
So, you can spend all this kind of money, but 162 games, 26 people on a roster, so many things have to go right for you to get to the championship and win it. And you saw what the Dodgers were able to do, and they were beat up. Now, that gave them some chances. People might argue, well, they had a better chance than the rest because they could spend more. But still, it's not – we haven't had a repeat champion in how long? Like forever.
Yeah.
So that's the one argument against the fact that these contracts, which are 1%ers, meaning there's very few players that get them, I would argue that, baseball would be better served if they found a way to keep some of the great players healthy. If they would spend some resources and realize that this game and these players are so far more talented than we've ever seen, but it doesn't mean anything if they can't stay healthy. And that's why these long contracts are a risk. And we've seen, the Alex Rodriguez argument's not fair because Texas basically offloaded them to the Yankees, and that allowed them to win a championship. Texas was not going to win a championship with A-Rod's contract. You've already seen, though, that the contract for Ohtani disproved that. They won it in their first year. He's a different animal. He's a different he's a freak. So you've seen what the Padres tried. You've seen what other teams have tried. It hasn't necessarily brought forth that championship. So time will tell. I like to think that we're not going to see too many more 13 to 15-year contracts, but I said that a few years ago, and I guess it didn't pan out.
Certainly not in Tampa Bay. And speaking of the Rays, in a slightly bigger move, they signed Danny Jansen to a 1-year, $8.5 million deal, which for the Rays is actually a big deal because they were desperately in need of a a dependable catcher. And here's a guy who's 29 years old, and he's done it for 7 years in the big leagues. He's hit double-digit homers. He's not a big-time bopper, but for the Rays, I'd say this is a pretty solid move, especially with their veteran pitching staff that they have. Or I don't know if it's veteran, but it's good. It's really good. They have a chance to have a great pitching staff, and I think that can carry them, but they got to go get some hitters because the offense is disgusting. But this is a pretty good move to shore up a lot of things for them. Would you agree?
I do agree. They have a big-time challenge that nobody could foresee. The stadium and playing somewhere else for a couple years or 1 year is definitely not maybe the most attractive free agent place. So they're going to have to be creative and do things like this. I actually think they're going to be and rally around this and play what really should be a sold-out stadium, even though it's not. But 13,000 fans.
It'll be sold out every night. It'll be a vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool, but it's just definitely going to be a mental challenge for the organization to how to lure players who maybe have some unknowns, and what the future holds for the Rays. But they always seem to find a way. I have the utmost respect for their organization, given whatever criteria they're given by their owner, to find a way to be competitive. And if they, again, it's like a broken record. If they can keep their players healthy, they're going to win. They've not shown that they weren't going to win based on the players' health. So that's been an issue that is in their pitching rotation. And if those guys that were so nasty a couple years ago can fully recover, I don't want to play the Rays at any point in the season, no matter where it is, based on their pitching staff.
Well, it's fair to say, though, that their offense, which was second to last only to the White Sox last year, they've got to add some bona fide hitters, at least two, if not three, to have any chance of winning a World Series. And I think when you have a pitching staff that's this cheap and this good, this is a perfect opportunity for an owner to step up, at least for 1 year, and maybe pay some guys who can actually hit the baseball in the clutch and maybe even in the playoffs. Was that a fair assessment?
It's totally fair, but it's kind of gone against what they've always done. And that's the problem is, how do you lure? And hitting is such a premium because there's not that much of it. It's tough to hit today because run prevention has been at its utmost. They've almost perfected it. So you've got to find the diamonds in the rough. They've always done that. They've rode the hot bats of a couple guys, a Rosarena. They kind of recycle guys who have not had, for one reason or another, good years somewhere else. They come over and they find a way. Maybe it's that dome. Maybe it's part of the magic of they always are going to be in a nice place with no rain. Now that's going to be a challenge.
Yep.
Half the BP is going to get rained out and all those different things. So those are the mental challenges the organization's going to have. It used to be like, to use another example, you would have thought that Colorado would have got every top free agent hitter in the game.
Right.
To go over there, but that didn't work. So there's always different models that look good on paper, and you just have to find ways to utilize the strength of your ball club. And you make an accurate point. They've got to score some runs. They just have to find some offense. And if they go out and get a couple guys that do that, and you know what? My argument would always be put the ball in play and quit trying to worry about so many home runs when you got a great pitching staff, but that's not today's style.
I wanted to ask you sort of a state of the game question because there's a lot of like uncertainty of like where the game is headed and if it's the right path. And I know baseball's trying to come up with things to sort of put more interest in the game, maybe get the younger audience enthused about the idea of Major League Baseball. But I guess that brings me to this whole golden at bat sort of debate that's been going on. Rob Manfred went out there. Everybody lost their mind about it. Now he's sort of saying that he probably doesn't think it's going to happen. But in terms of that specific rule, they've made a lot of changes over the years. Some, I think we would argue, have been good for the game. But do you feel like implementing a golden at bat rule, which to me almost seems like you're manufacturing drama in the middle of the game, is that one step too far, or would you be in favor of that?
I think the biggest thing they're trying to do is throw things out there, and I don't think this was as serious as people have made it. But here's my take on it. I think if you want to do something like that, have it as an incentive to change the philosophical play of pitching. In other words, if you want to have some kind of gained advantage, you could tie it to some pitching incentive that we just don't have right now. That could be if a pitcher completes 6 innings, you get this. There's ways to change the way the game is moving in that direction by either making rule changes or having ideas like that. First of all, I know it's probably not going to fly, and I get it. I wouldn't be in favor. I'd be in favor of it in the All-Star game, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Bring that golden bat in the All-Star game and start seeing some matchups fans always want to see. That's where you can start integrating it, and then maybe people might like it long term. But every rule change that we had up to this point, everyone's kind of okay with it. The only grumbling I still hear about is the extra innings. I personally like it. Keeps players healthy, and it doesn't create long games. But here's what I would do, and I've been saying this for 5 years now. I would change the rules of manufacturing and allowing rosters of pitchers that have 13 on it. Limit how many pitchers are on the staff. You'll start changing the philosophy of asking pitchers to go longer. If you don't make any pitching rule changes, pitching is only going to keep progressing and injuries are only going to keep happening. That's what you have to do. We made rules to impact the game and got action, and we got the game moving. It's all been successful. That's the next one down the pipe for me. That's what I would be concentrating on. I would if you want to tie in some kind of bonus. See, if you don't give an organization a creative goal to do something different, they're not going to do it. If you give that team that has a lot of analytical information and they decide that if my pitcher goes 7 innings, let's just use another idea. Let's just say you tied the DH to your starting pitcher, okay? 5 years ago, people would flip out. They would say you've lost your mind. It's not as bad of an idea today as it was 5 years ago because pitchers just don't pitch.
Right.
And so if you wanted a decided advantage, I'm a big believer. Give the organization time to utilize what that is, see how they can get that competitive advantage over the next club, and I'll promise you what's going to happen. If you tie the DH to your starting pitching, guess what you're going to eliminate? That stupid opener.
Yes.
That Johnny bullpen game. You're going to eliminate that. And if teams still have the option to do it, but guess what they got to do? They're going to have a decided disadvantage with 4 pinch hits at minimum,
right,
with how they're structured. So there's ways that you incentivize clubs to think differently. And by the way, you and I have talked about this, so we know it's going to keep pitchers healthier because we're not going to ask them to max effort. And you start developing. See, what baseball's turned into is they got guys on a roster that aren't ready. Yeah. They don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And so if you're not ready, you're going to have a lot of this situation and this up and down. So to me, that's what you fix next. That's what you focus on. And I know they're working hard to try to eliminate the injuries and figure out a way to kind of get the game, because nobody's picking up their iPhone. Nobody's looking on social media going, hey, who's pitching tomorrow? Yeah. Nobody's doing that. When you lose that in the game, you've lost a big attraction of why people want to go to certain games. Can you imagine in the NFL, if every NFL team, 3/4 had backups or took out their starters after the first quarter? No one would stay for the games. There's a reason the sports have marketable ability and attraction and fans, and they want to see, I think, pitchers pitch longer.
We had a bullpen game in the World Series, for God's sakes. That's unbelievable when you think about it.
Yep.
Hey, all right, before you go, the Pro Cup this week out of Innisbrook, you are captaining the baseball team. We got Jeremy Roenick's captaining the hockey team. Jerome Bettis has got the football team, and John Barry, the basketball team. This sounds like a whole lot of fun. Thursday, Friday, Saturday will be the playing of it at Innisbrook. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, this is the first of its kind. Pro Cup Series is going to take the 4 major sports, retired great athletes that played in their sport respectively, and we're going to find out who the best sport playing golf is. And it's a Ryder Cup format. We're going to have a round robin on Thursday and Friday, 27 holes each, 12 on a team, and then we have the championship on Saturday, individual play, and then third and fourth. This is, well, for all of us who all played on team sports, this is going to be one of the coolest things ever. Glad we're having it in Tampa at Innisbrook. The course and the setup and the resort is fantastic. And there's a lot of pressure on me. I'm telling you, the pressure on me tonight is not as great as the pressure on me this weekend because we are favored, and I want to bring home the cup really badly for the first ever baseball Ryder Cup champion.
Who's on your squad?
So we've got Tyler Clippard, we got Derek Lowe, Mark Mulder, Josh Donaldson, Brian McCann, Kevin Millar, Kyle Loesch, Cody Ross, Joe Carter, Vince Coleman, myself. Who am I leaving out? Did I nail that? I think that's everybody.
That's a hell of a squad. I've played with Tyler Clippard multiple times. That dude mashes it.
We've got guys that bomb it. The first couple days was the first day is a 2-man scramble, so we got some guys that can bomb it. The second day is a 2-man best ball. So I've got the strategies, I've got the scripts, I've got some videos, I've got my pregame talks, I've got it all lined up. Now I'm getting on the road to drive down to Tampa, bringing we're bringing the dog because the dog's going to be
the lucky dog.
The dog's going to be the mascot.
That's awesome. Well, Johnny, thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate it. I hope you lose tonight. I can't say that enough. I just got to get one W, and I need to pay the rent. So thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate your time, and I'll see you out there Wednesday and Thursday at the Pro Cup. Appreciate you.
Can't wait. You got it.
Thanks. The great John Smoltz right there. There's a lot of good stuff there. A lot of good stuff. Outside the fantasy football stuff.
Of course.
Did you enjoy at least a little bit of the fantasy football stuff?
Oh,
you can be honest.
Okay. Of course, I did. Because I enjoy to see you have, like, you're really concerned. I love how he said he wants to make you wait to the fourth quarter. He wants you to endure 3 hours of football.
I can't tell you how emotional I'm going to be tonight watching this game. I'm going to be an effing wreck. Like every time if he doesn't get up, Jamar, Chase, I'm talking about, I'm just going to be, there it is. I told you it was going to happen. So,
yeah. And I love how you guys mentioned the Pro Cup there. Cause is this the first of its kind?
Yes,
Pro Cup thing?
Yes.
I wasn't even aware that this was even happening until like last week. And while we started talking about it, I looked at like some of the rosters here. And I mean, it's a who's who.
There's some big names out there
on all these teams. We got some former Buccaneers as well that are represented.
Put some names out there.
For the all NFL team, like Ryan Succop's going to stick out to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Buck Super Bowl kicker Terrell Buckley, who T-Buck's on this team.
Yeah, he loves golf.
Is
Rondé playing?
No. Dwight Freeney's a part of that team who just going into the Hall of Fame. Patrick Peterson, who might be a Hall of Famer one day. Tim Brown, former Buccaneer, is a part of that NFL team. Team hockey, you mentioned it. Jeremy Roenick's going to be the team captain, but Brett Hull, one of the greatest goal scorers in NHL history, is there. Joe Pavelski, Ryan Getzlaff, former Lightning player Brendan Morrow is a part of that team. John mentioned his team for baseball, but for basketball, we got Danny Ainge, Tony Kukoc, Ray Allen, Hall of Famer, J.R. Smith, Dan Maherly.
J.R. Smith, wasn't he playing on a college team?
Yeah, J.R. Smith is a really good golfer.
Yeah, he was
really
playing on a college
golfer,
team.
So looks like it's going to be a really competitive and a fun thing over there at Ennisbrook for 3 days.
All those, I think it's going to be baseball or hockey. Baseball or hockey is going to win this. So, and I would, from that roster, I played with Tyler Clippard. And I mean, a quick Tyler Clippard story, who played for Steinbrenner, was it maybe one of the teams in Pasco? Forgive me, but local kid, of course, pitched with the Yankees for many years, been around. So we're playing in a scramble over at what was it? Across from TPC, whatever, Heritage Isles, I think it's called. So we've got you guys will know this par 5. It's like a double dog leg, and there's a grove of trees between your drive and the green. So the green's about 230 yards away. And our drive is like almost right up next to the trees. So you got to get the ball up about 70 feet within a very small distance. So like I could probably hit a 9-iron over, but obviously I'm not going to get to the green.
Right.
Clearly. So he pulls out some type of hybrid. I don't know what the hell it was. And he launches this ball. Like you can't see the green. Like it's completely blind shot. I'm kind of showing them on my, on my app. Like this is the way kind of the area you need to hit it at. So he takes out some type of hybrid. It launches it. It goes over the trees and clears the trees. And I'm like, I think that's on the green. Mm-hmm. I think that's on the green. Like I go, how far? I'm like, how far do you hit that club? He goes, about 220. I said, holy shit. So we drive up there. It's freaking 8 feet from the hole. Pin high, 8 feet from the hole. I said, I've never seen a shot like that.
Yeah.
I've never seen a shop like that.
Tyler Clipper, by the way, I checked it. He went to Mitchell High School in Newport Richey. But yeah, the baseball team probably looks like the most fun team to be around.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about Josh Donaldson, who's a very out there personality.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Millar is awesome.
He's awesome.
Cody Ross is another guy who was sort of a fire starter when he played. So that all MLB
Who else is on this squad? Joe Carter?
Joe Carter's on that team. Vince Coleman is on his team.
Vince Coleman, yes. So you got
Brian McCann, Mark Mulder, Eric Gagne, Kyle Loesch, Derek Lowe, and Jose Alvarez.
Nice.